Okay guys, this is a little extension for those of you who are finished already, because you've still got another class to go. So we should have our working program already. Notice mine is not fully fleshed out, but it's enough for you to see what I mean. So when I run it, does it have a backbone? Yes. Does it have fur? No. Does it have feathers? Yes. It's a bird. Okay, and that gives us, that's what you should have already. You should have a working program with 7 different outcomes. What we want to do though is try and take that and make it into having a GUI, a graphical user interface. It's a little tricky, but if you're already ahead, then hopefully it'll be something that could be a bit more interesting. So what do I mean by a GUI? Well, this looks like lots of scary code, but it's just about copying stuff out. You don't have to memorize anything here, okay? So we run it. Yay! Now, obviously this is quite ugly, but you can see the basic idea. So does it have a backbone? Yes. Does it have fur? No. Does it have feathers? Yes. It's a bird. So this is the same thing, but it's got this user interface on the front. So let's look at how we start doing that. We're not going to worry about colors or anything like that. We're just going to get the basic program working first, and then we will go from there. Okay, so let's get the windows and the buttons made first. And then we can go further after that. So let's get a new page. Okay, so we want to start by doing import tkinter as tk. Okay, that's just saying that we want to use the tkinter library to help us build things. Now, the first thing we want to do is make a window. So window equals tk.tk, notice capital letter. And we can specify things like the size of the window. So window.geometry, boom, boom. And in here we put the size of the window. So how many pixels by how many pixels? I'm going to do 400 by 400. That's about the size I had on the other page. We can do window.title. And that's what's going to appear on the top up here. Okay, it's not what appears on the screen, but on the top of the tab bit. Animal ID. Boom. Okay. Anything else we need to do? Probably. But that should be enough, hopefully, to get a basic window going. So at the end, I have to start off my window, I have to say window.main loop. Boom. So I save it. Hopefully, animal example. Good. There we go. So if I run it, hopefully, yay, okay. So you see I get my GUI. I've got the thing at the top here, animal ID, and its size 400 by 400. Again, you can change the sizes, you can change the names on the top to match your project. So that would be the first thing I'd suggest you do. You can pause it and come back in a sec. But otherwise, I'm going to keep going. So I'm going to have 3 different labels. Sorry, I'm going to have four different things in my program. I'm going to have 2 buttons. I'm going to have a title along the top, or a heading along the top maybe, and I'm going to have the question page. So let's start by making the heading. So heading equals tk.label. Now we want to connect that to the window. So we're going to say window. And we want to give it some text. So text equals animal ID. The next one I want to make is another label, and that's going to be the question. Equals tk.label, so 2 labels. And that's going to connect to window. And it's going to have the text. The first text is, does it have a back? Okay, and then I'm going to have 2 buttons. So, in fact, maybe I want to make another frame that I can put my 2 buttons together on. Okay, let's make another. A frame is just like a section of the page that we can stick it onto. So let's call this button. I think a pane. Button frame, just to make it easier, equals tk dot frame, and that's going to stick onto the window. And then I'm going to make two buttons. So yes button equals tk dot button, and the text is going to equal yes. And we're going to have no button and tk dot button, and the text is going to equal no. Okay, now these ones I don't want to connect to window, I want to connect to my button frame. So instead of putting window at the start there, I'm going to put button frame and button frame. Okay, so I'm going to basically stick these two buttons onto this frame and then stick that frame onto my main window. And then we need to actually add these things onto the page. So let's start with adding our heading. So we just need to say heading dot pack. Now, like I said, we're going to come back later, maybe a third video, and look at how we can make it more colorful and stuff. Let's keep it just simple and get it working first. So question equal question dot pack. So just throwing it onto the page at the moment. Button frame dot pack. So these will be coming like basically one after the other. So the top should be the heading, then the question pane, and then the buttons. And then I need yes button dot pack. So pack just means add, really, if you think about it. And no button dot pack. Okay, so again, it's not going to look good. We're not expecting it to. Let's run it and see if it works though. Okay, so there we go. Okay, now obviously, like I said, we'll make it look better later on. I think one thing we maybe want to change though is just adding a font first, actually, just because it's too small to really see it. So after here I can say font equals bracket bracket, oops. Let's have Arial. Let's have size 30, and we'll not bother with bold or anything. Okay, and I'm going to do the same with my other label. And then my yes and no button, I want them to be smaller. So let's make those 20 and 20. Okay, like I said, we'll do the proper layouts and stuff and colors later if we need to. But just, we want it to be big so that we can actually see. There we go. It's not wide enough. Maybe I've made that too big this time. I can shrink that one down a bit to be 25. Hopefully that'll fit on the page still. Yay, okay. Start with backbone. Yes, no, yes, no. Okay. So, that would be the next step that you want to try and get going, would be to make your different buttons and things and add them onto the pane using, or onto the frame using pack. We'll decorate it a bit later. Okay, so once again I suggest you pause, go and do that, and then come back. So the next thing we want to have is our buttons actually doing something. So for that we need to make little functions. So at the top here I can say define yes. Okay, and define no. So for yes, at the moment I'm just going to get it to print yes. We'll change that later. We just want to see that it works correctly. And then for no, we're going to print no. Okay, so then down here, where we have our buttons, we're going to add on, at the end here, a command. So command equals lambda equals lambda, and then I think can't remember if I need a colon or not, but not add, yes, and then we'll do the same here. I think that's not quite right. I'm going to check in a second. Let me see. I think I'll get an error. Oh no, it did work. Okay. Oops, where's my GUI gone? So when I press yes, it says yes. When I press no, it says yes as well, because I've copied the wrong thing down. What did I do? So this one should be no. Okay, and that should fix that little error. Okay, so basically when I press this button, it's going to come up here, and it's going to print yes. But when I click the other button, it's going to come up here, and it's going to print no. Now we could have this doing a lot more stuff in here. In fact, what we're going to have is we're going to have a variable, and let's call it answer equals string tk dot string var. I think that'll work. Okay, good. And then up here, we're basically going to set the value. Okay, so we can do answer dot set, I think it is going to be yes, and this one is going to be answer dot set is no. Now we don't really need these anymore. In fact, let's leave them in just so that we can make sure it's all working. Still, we can get rid of them later. Okay, and then when we run it, yes, no, good. Okay, so that basically takes us up to having built the outline frame of what we want to add GUI-wise. Okay, the next thing is going to be taking in our other code that we made. And where is it gone? Taking in the other code that we made and converting this, or adding this, into this over here. Okie dokie. So I'll pause there, and that's your first video. Now again, like I said, if this is all too complicated, I can give you this, and then you just need to take this and add it into the system over here, okay? Whatever you prefer, this is all extension stuff. Okie dokie.